This audiobook reveals the ancient secret hidden in plain sight. Your thoughts and feelings command the universe itself. As you listen, you will awaken to the hidden laws that shape every experience you live. The key to creation has always been within you. Metaphysics. Introduction. Across the infinite corridors of time, echoes of sacred wisdom drift like ancient winds through the caverns of human awareness. These ethereal murmurs speak of a primal force, a pulse woven into the very loom of existence, whose mastery reshapes the boundaries of what is deemed real. You now stand at the luminous threshold, where the membrane between the seen and unseen thins to a whisper. The cosmos moves not by chance, but through unseen streams of energy, subtle yet omnipotent. As the silent hand of gravity conducts the waltz of the stars, so too do hidden currents of thought and intention weave the intricate tapestry of your life. These forces yield not to intellect, but to the deep song of your inner vibration. Within the sanctum of your being lies a spark of power, ancient beyond memory, concealed beneath the veils of modern forgetting. It is the sacred ability to shape reality itself, not by wishful thought, but by aligning with the eternal laws that govern all creation. Each thought you harbor, each emotion you nourish, stirs the vast quantum sea, setting into motion waves of endless possibility. You are on the cusp of reclaiming your birthright as a conscious architect of existence. The universe is not a mindless machine, but a boundless intelligence, mirroring your beliefs and amplifying your intentions with exquisite fidelity. This is the forgotten alchemy of spirit, the living science of creation that sages, seers, and mystics have safeguarded through the mists of history. The truths that await you transcend the confines of mundane reason. They unveil how thoughts crystallize into form, how emotions become the architects of destiny, and how belief is the silent chisel carving the sculpture of your reality. This wisdom has been veiled not out of fear, but out of reverence for its magnitude. Your voyage into these eternal mysteries begins now. The ancient flame stirs, the sacred teachings beckon, and the vast realms of your divine potential stand ready to be awakened. Part 1. Awakening to the Hidden Laws. Chapter 1. The Ancient Secret Hidden in Plain Sight. In the mist-shrouded hills of an ancient city, Eleanor walked the crumbling steps of a forgotten library. The building stood like a sentinel of lost knowledge, its weathered walls holding secrets untold. As she ventured deeper into its silent halls, a single shaft of light pierced through a dusty window, illuminating a leather-bound tome resting on a marble pedestal. The book seemed to call to her, its chapters whispering with an otherworldly presence. As Eleanor opened its weathered cover, golden script materialized before her eyes. The power you seek has always resided within. Your thoughts are the architects of reality, your consciousness the master of creation. Through these sacred words, a truth emerges that has existed since time immemorial. Reality flows from consciousness, not circumstance. The universe operates through spiritual laws that respond to your inner state of being. Every moment these invisible forces move through you, shaping the world according to your deepest beliefs and expectations. You are not merely observing reality, you are creating it. The ancient ones understood this power, recognizing that consciousness precedes all manifestation. When you align with this truth, the very fabric of existence begins to bend toward your intentions. As Eleanor absorbed these teachings, she noticed the library around her beginning to transform. The decay reversed itself. Books straightened on their shelves, and warm light filled the once dark corners. Yet the greatest miracle occurred when she stepped outside. There, in the courtyard, where moments before only weeds had grown, a magnificent garden bloomed. Roses, lilies, and flowers she had never seen before burst forth in brilliant colors. Eleanor had not planted these flowers, nor had any gardener tended this space. The transformation emerged purely from her awakened consciousness, her newfound understanding that reality responds to the power within. In that moment, she glimpsed the true nature of existence, a living, breathing field of infinite possibility, awaiting only her conscious direction. Like Eleanor, you carry this same power within you. The garden of your life awaits your awakened touch. Every circumstance, every condition, every experience flows from the invisible realm of consciousness first. As you embrace this truth, you step into your rightful place as a conscious creator of reality. Sacred practice. Throughout this day, maintain quiet awareness of 3 small coincidences that cross your path. Perhaps a thought of someone is followed by their unexpected appearance, or a needed resource arrives precisely when required. These seemingly random events are messages from the universe, showing you how reality already dances with your consciousness. Observe these signs without trying to force them, knowing they reveal the subtle ways your inner world shapes the outer. Chapter 2. You are the vessel of the divine. In the rolling hills where mist clings to the morning air, Walter stood at the edge of his barren field, his weathered hands gripping a fence post worn smooth by time. For 7 generations his family had worked this land, but now the soil lay lifeless, refusing to yield even the simplest crops. As the sun rose, casting long shadows across the empty furrows, an extraordinary presence descended upon the field. A warmth unlike any earthly heat enveloped Walter, and in that sacred moment, the veil between worlds lifted. The divine force that flows through all creation revealed itself not as something distant and unreachable, but as the very essence of his being. In that moment of crystal clarity, Walter understood. He was not merely a farmer tending the land, but a channel through which the infinite creative force expressed itself. You too are such a vessel. The power that moves the stars and shapes the seasons flows through your very being. This is not metaphor, but the deepest truth of existence. You are not separate from the divine, but a living expression of its endless creativity. When you align with this understanding, you step into your natural role as a co-creator with the universe. The divine does not work for you as some external force to be petitioned. Rather, it works through you, expressing its infinite potential through your thoughts, your actions, and your very presence. You are not empty waiting to be filled. You are already complete, already perfect, already one with the source of all creation. In the days that followed his awakening, Walter no longer saw himself as fighting against barren earth. Instead, he recognized himself as the conduit through which life force could flow into his fields. Without physical effort, without external intervention, he held in his mind the image of abundant crops, feeling the truth of his oneness with the creative force of life itself. Gradually, the land transformed. First came the earthworms, turning the soil rich and dark. Then tender shoots emerged, reaching toward the sun with unexpected vigor. Within a season, his fields flourished with a bounty that seemed to defy natural law. Yet Walter understood. This was not a miracle imposed from without, but the natural expression of the divine working through his awakened consciousness. Just as Walter's fields responded to his inner transformation, your outer world reflects your spiritual consciousness. When you recognize and embody your true nature as a vessel of divine expression, life begins to flow through you with effortless grace. Your circumstances, like Walter's Field's, will naturally align with this higher truth. Practice. Begin each morning this week by declaring aloud, "I am the living expression of the divine." Chapter 3. Thought. In a quiet corner of her classroom after her students had departed, Clara would open a small leather-bound journal. Its chapters held not lesson plans or academic notes, but the whispered longings of her heart. Each evening she wrote of the life she yearned to create, of teaching in distant lands, of touching lives beyond these familiar walls, of awakening minds to possibilities they had never imagined. What Clara did not realize at first was that each word she penned was more than mere ink on paper. Her thoughts, crystallized through writing, were seeds planted in the fertile soil of universal consciousness. This simple act of recording her dreams was setting in motion forces beyond her comprehension. You too must understand this fundamental truth. Thought is the first cause of all creation. Before any circumstance manifests in your physical world, it exists as a thought form in consciousness. This is not philosophy. It is the operational principle of existence itself. Your thoughts are not passive observers of reality. They are the architects of your experience. Every condition in your life began as a thought, whether conscious or unconscious. The home you live in, the work you do, the relationships you nurture, all were first conceived in mind before taking physical form. This is the sacred science of creation that the ancients understood. Thought precedes manifestation, always. As Clara continued her evening ritual of writing, she began to notice subtle shifts in her daily experience. A letter arrived inviting her to speak at an educational conference. A visiting professor mentioned opportunities for teaching abroad. Students began approaching her with questions that mirrored the very aspirations she had written about awakening in young minds. Recognizing these changes, Clara approached her journal with renewed reverence. She understood now that she was not merely recording wishes, she was engaging in the highest form of creation. Each thought she committed to paper was a blueprint being pressed into the universal substance, which, by divine law, must take form. Just as Clara discovered the creative power of her thoughts, you hold this same sacred ability. Your mind is not merely a processor of information. It is a creative force that shapes the very substance of your reality. Every thought you entertain is a seed planted in the cosmic field of infinite possibility. Each night before you rest, take a sacred moment to mentally replay the events of your day. As you journey through these memories, notice which thoughts carried the greatest power and potential. Choose one significant thought. Perhaps it was a flash of inspiration, a moment of gratitude, or a seed of possibility, and consciously bless it. Let this chosen thought become your focal point for tomorrow, nurturing it with your attention and spiritual energy. As you drift into sleep, know that this blessed thought is already taking root in the fertile soil of universal consciousness, ready to blossom into magnificent expression when you awake. Chapter 4. The Law of Vibration. In a dimly lit concert hall, Henry ran his fingers across the dusty keys of an old grand piano. The instrument, once magnificent, now sat forgotten and out of tune. Yet Henry understood something that few others grasped, the secret language of vibration that connects all things. As he struck each key, adjusting the strings with practiced precision, Henry felt more than just the mechanical process of tuning. He sensed the subtle shifts in energy, the way each note's vibration rippled through the air and seemed to alter the very atmosphere of the room. You must understand that everything in existence vibrates at specific frequencies. Your thoughts, emotions, and physical reality are all expressions of vibrational energy. Just as Henry could bring harmony to discordant notes, you possess the power to tune your own energetic frequency. The universe responds not to your words or actions alone, but to your vibrational state. When you maintain a frequency of abundance, joy, and possibility, reality must, by universal law, reflect these qualities back to you. This is not mysticism, but the fundamental physics of consciousness. As Henry completed his work on the piano, something extraordinary occurred. The newly harmonized instrument seemed to attract a series of unexpected opportunities. A wealthy patron, drawn by the pure tones drifting from the hall, offered Henry a position as their personal piano curator. Other musicians, sensing the exceptional quality of his work, began referring to their clients. You see, by raising the vibrational frequency of his environment through his careful tuning, Henry had unknowingly adjusted his own energetic signature. The universe responded in kind, bringing circumstances that matched his elevated state. Like Henry, you are constantly broadcasting a vibrational frequency through your thoughts, feelings, and expectations. When you understand this truth, you realize that changing your circumstances requires only a shift in your internal tone. Just as a tuning fork will cause nearby strings to vibrate in sympathy, your dominant frequency draws matching experiences into your life. The key lies not in forcing change through action, but in maintaining the vibration of your desired reality. When you align your frequency with abundance, love, or success, these experiences naturally flow into your life with the same inevitability that causes sound waves to travel through air. Throughout the day, pause frequently to silently check, is my vibration in harmony with my desires? Make this gentle inquiry a sacred ritual, a moment of conscious attunement with your innermost frequency. Just as a musician must regularly tune their instrument, you must consistently align your vibrational state with the experiences you wish to attract. When you notice discord between your current state and your aspirations, softly adjust your thoughts and feelings until they resonate with your deepest intentions. Chapter 5: Faith as the Gateway to Power. Along the windswept cliffs, Margaret tended her lighthouse with unwavering devotion. As storm clouds gathered on the horizon, others fled inland, but she remained steadfast at her post. The waves crashed higher, the winds howled fiercer, yet Margaret maintained an inexplicable calm. She knew, with unshakable certainty, that her light would guide the ships to safety. You must understand that faith is not merely hoping or wishing. It is a tangible force that shapes the fabric of reality itself. Like Margaret's beacon cutting through the darkness, true faith pierces through apparent impossibilities to reveal the path already prepared by universal law. When you align with this deeper truth, you tap into currents of power beyond ordinary comprehension. Faith is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the force that transforms potential into manifestation. It operates not through strain or struggle, but through absolute knowing. As the storm reached its peak, 3 fishing vessels lost their bearings in the churning seas. The rational mind would have deemed their situation hopeless. But Margaret's unwavering faith created a channel through which the universal forces could operate. Her light remained strong, and one by one, the ships found their way to harbor. In the quiet hours before dawn, a wandering merchant named Thomas sought shelter from the same storm. Having lost everything in a recent venture, he carried only his bitter doubts. Yet as he witnessed Margaret's serene certainty in the face of nature's fury, something shifted within him. He realized that his past failures were not punishments, but reflections of his wavering faith. The next morning, as the sun broke through clearing skies, Thomas discovered an opportunity that would restore his fortunes tenfold. His transformation came not from external circumstances, but from aligning with the same unwavering faith he had observed in Margaret. You see, your life follows the thread of your most consistent faith. Not the faith you claim in easy moments, but the deep knowing you maintain when all external evidence suggests otherwise. Like Margaret's lighthouse beam, your faith cuts through the storms of circumstance to reveal the reality already waiting to emerge. Today, act as if your greatest desire is already fulfilled. Move through each moment with the quiet certainty that what you seek is already yours in the unseen realm. Watch how reality begins to reshape itself around your unshakable knowing. This is not pretense or imagination. It is alignment with the deeper truth that precedes all physical manifestation. Chapter 6. Desire. In the rustic outskirts of Arizona, where the desert wind whispers ancient secrets, Thomas labored at his forge. Each strike of his hammer echoed the same question that burned in his heart: is this all there is? Though his hands shaped metal with skill, his soul yearned for something greater. Night after night he dreamed of crafting beautiful works of art that would touch hearts across the world, yet he dismissed these visions as mere fantasy. You must understand that desire is not the enemy of spiritual growth, but rather the divine's way of speaking through you. When a yearning persists in your heart, rising above the noise of daily life, it carries a sacred message. Like a compass pointing true north, authentic desire guides you toward your highest expression. The infinite mind does not plant dreams without also providing the means for their fulfillment. Every pure desire that stirs within you is evidence of your oneness with the abundant universe. Just as a seed contains the blueprint of the mighty oak, your desires contain the pattern of their own manifestation. One evening, as Thomas sat before his cooling forge, a wealthy traveler stopped to rest his horses. Noticing Thomas's small sculptures scattered among the practical tools, the stranger was moved by their beauty. "These belong in galleries," he said, "not gathering dust in a workshop." In that moment, Thomas realized his desires weren't random wishes, but divine appointments waiting to unfold. The traveler, an art collector from New York, commissioned Thomas to create a series of sculptures. As Thomas finally embraced the calling he had long denied, his work transformed from mere metal into flowing expressions of spirit. His pieces began appearing in prestigious galleries, touching hearts just as he had dreamed. The very desire he had dismissed as impossible became the gateway to his true purpose. This mirrors the sacred truth waiting in your own heart. The desires that won't let you rest are not obstacles to overcome, but treasures to be unearthed. When you honor these inner promptings, you align with the infinite intelligence that placed them there. Denying your true desires is like refusing to plant a seed the divine has placed in your hands. Write down your truest desire, then meditate on it as already fulfilled for 3 minutes daily. In this sacred practice, you acknowledge the divine origin of your dreams and allow the universal forces to arrange their perfect manifestation. Chapter 7. The Power of I Am. In a small cottage by the sea where waves whispered timeless secrets to the shore, lived Beatrice, a poet whose words once danced with starlight. Now her chapters lay blank, her spirit crushed by life's harsh winds. Each morning she would stare at her reflection, muttering, "I am broken, I am lost, I am nothing." And so it was, for the universe echoed back precisely what she declared. You must grasp this fundamental truth. The words that follow "I am" shape the very foundation of your existence. These two simple words hold power beyond measure, for they are the creative force through which the divine speaks itself into being. When you declare "I am," you invoke the name of the infinite itself, and what follows becomes your living reality. Every I am statement is a seed planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. Just as surely as spring follows winter, these seeds will bloom into the circumstances of your life. The universe knows no argument with your declarations. It simply responds with unwavering loyalty to what you claim as truth. One dawn, as Beatrice watched the sun paint gold across the waters, an ancient wisdom stirred within her. Taking up her pen, she began to write, "I am light, I am strength, I am boundless creativity." At first, the words felt foreign on her tongue, yet she continued, day after day, claiming her divine inheritance through these sacred pronouncements. Gradually, her poems began to flow again, not with the darkness of before, but with light that seemed to pour from an infinite source. Literary journals that once rejected her work now sought her out. Where there had been emptiness, abundance flourished. Her transformation was not merely in circumstances, but in the very essence of her being, for she had learned to speak herself into new existence. Your words carry this same creative power. Each I am statement is a chisel shaping the sculpture of your life. The divine speaks through you, waiting to express in perfect accordance with your declarations. This is not positive thinking. It is the very science of being, the ancient art of conscious creation. Choose 3 empowering I am statements and repeat them upon waking and sleeping. Let these declarations become the foundation stones of your new reality, for through them, you speak your world into being. Write them where you will see them daily, on your mirror, by your bedside, close to your heart. Speak them with the unwavering certainty of one who knows their truth has already manifested. Feel the resonance of each word as it vibrates through your being, knowing that the universe itself bends to match the frequency of your declarations. These statements are not mere affirmations, but sacred contracts with the divine, binding agreements that shape the very fabric of your existence. Chapter 8. Awakening the Creative Mind. In a small workshop filled with the gentle ticking of timepieces, George sat at his weathered workbench each morning before sunrise. While others began their craft with tools and metal, he started with something far more powerful, pure imagination. In the quiet darkness, he would close his eyes and see intricate mechanisms dancing behind his eyelids, each gear and spring moving in perfect harmony. Your imagination is not mere fantasy. It is the workshop of the divine mind expressed through you. When you hold an image with unwavering focus, you activate forces beyond physical sight that begin arranging circumstances to match your vision. This is the hidden science known to every master creator throughout time. The images you entertain in the theater of your mind are more than idle daydreams. They are the blueprints from which your reality is built. Just as a house cannot be constructed without architectural plans, your circumstances cannot take form without first existing in imagination. The outer world is merely a shadow of your inner visions. In the depths of night, George would dream of a clock that could track not just time, but the very movements of the cosmos. Most called it impossible, yet he held the vision until it burned bright within him. He saw every detail, the crystalline face that would mirror the stars, the hands that would move like celestial bodies, the chimes that would ring in harmony with universal rhythms. Months passed as he dwelled in this vision, letting it saturate his consciousness until his hands knew exactly what to create. When he finally revealed his masterwork, it left viewers breathless. The clock seemed to capture the very music of the spheres, its movement so precise that astronomers began using it to chart the heavens. What had existed only in imagination had become manifest in gleaming brass and gold. Your imagination holds this same creative power The scenes you revisit in your mind are prophecies waiting to be fulfilled. By dwelling upon them with feeling and faith, you magnetize the very substance of the universe to take their shape. Practice. Spend 5 minutes daily vividly imagining one scene of your fulfilled dream, feeling it as real. Chapter 9. The Invisible Substance of Reality. In the corner of an ancient apothecary shop, where dried herbs hung from weathered beams and mysterious tinctures lined the shelves, young Edith discovered a truth that would transform her understanding of creation itself. Each morning, as she arranged bottles and measured ingredients, she noticed that her thoughts seemed to influence the potency of her remedies in ways that defied ordinary explanation. You live within an invisible sea of creative substance, a spiritual ether that responds to your every thought and feeling. This living medium surrounds you always, waiting to be shaped by the power of your focused attention. It is the raw material from which all physical manifestation emerges, the bridge between thought and form. When you understand this truth, you realize that your mind is not contained within your skull. It extends into this universal substance, molding it according to your dominant impressions. Every thought you hold with conviction leaves its mark upon this ethereal clay, which then begins its journey into physical expression. The wise ones of old knew this secret, that between the visible and invisible worlds lies a plastic medium that takes the shape of your mental patterns. Your thoughts are not merely electrical impulses in your brain, they are creative forces that ripple through the very fabric of existence. One day, as Edith prepared a remedy for a desperately ill child, she closed her eyes and allowed her entire being to fill with the vision of perfect healing. Instead of merely mixing herbs mechanically, she infused each movement with focused intention, feeling the universal substance responding to her concentrated thought. As she worked, the very air seemed to shimmer with possibility. The herbs in her hands appeared to pulse with new life, and the tincture took on a luminosity she had never witnessed before. When the child drank the medicine, recovery came with miraculous speed, defying all conventional expectations. What Edith discovered was not magic, but law, the same law that governs all creation. The universal substance had simply responded to her focused intention, translating her clear mental picture into physical reality. This same creative medium flows through your life at every moment, awaiting your conscious direction. You need not be an apothecary to work with this principle. Every situation you encounter is surrounded by this malleable substance, ready to be impressed with your chosen outcome. Your thoughts and feelings are the tools by which you shape this unseen material into tangible results. For 3 days, consciously impress positive outcomes onto situations before engaging with them. Visualize your desired result with crystal clarity before taking any significant action. Whether attending a meeting, having an important conversation, or pursuing a goal, pause first to shape the universal substance with your focused intention. See yourself moving through each scenario with grace and confidence, knowing the creative medium responds faithfully to your mental pictures. Make this practice as natural as breathing, a constant communion between your directed thought and the infinite intelligence that surrounds you. Record your experiences, noting how reality begins to mirror your carefully impressed visions. Chapter 10. Releasing the Chains of Doubt. In the marble halls of a prestigious bank where numbers ruled supreme and faith seemed a distant folly, Samuel's transformation began. Each morning, he would study spreadsheets that spoke of limitations, of careful measures and calculated risks. Yet beneath his polished exterior, a voice whispered of greater possibilities. You stand now at the threshold of understanding that doubt is not your natural state. It is a learned response, a veil drawn over your innate knowing. Like Samuel, You may have built your life around what seems reasonable, what appears logical, yet the universe operates beyond such limited perspectives. The presence of doubt in your mind is like clouds passing before the sun. The sun never ceases to shine. Its radiance remains constant. Similarly, your connection to infinite possibility never dims. It is only temporarily obscured by passing shadows of uncertainty. When you understand this truth, doubt loses its power over you. It becomes merely a signal that you have temporarily stepped away from your natural state of alignment with universal law. Every doubt you experience is an invitation to return to certainty, to remember who you truly are. One morning, facing a financial decision that seemed impossible by conventional standards, Samuel felt an unfamiliar surge of clarity. Instead of consulting his usual metrics and probabilities, he closed his eyes and allowed himself to feel the certainty that resided beneath his learned hesitation. In that moment of surrender to a deeper knowing, he approved a loan that every analysis warned against. This act of faith, this choice to trust beyond the visible evidence, set in motion forces that transform not only the recipient's life, but Samuel's entire understanding of possibility. The venture succeeded beyond all conventional projections, proving that when you release doubt, you allow universal law to operate unimpeded through your affairs. What appeared as a risk to others was simply Samuel's recognition of his natural state of alignment with success. By choosing certainty over doubt, he had removed the only true obstacle to manifestation, his own resistance to good. You too hold this power. Every time you choose faith over fear, certainty over doubt, you align with the infinite current of good that flows through all life. Your natural state is not one of questioning and hesitation. It is one of knowing, of absolute certainty in the perfect outworking of universal law. Practice. Each time doubt arises, whisper to yourself, "This is only a shadow. I walk in the light of certainty." Let this affirmation become your shield against uncertainty, your beacon in moments of hesitation. Repeat it not just with your voice, but with every fiber of your being, allowing its truth to resonate through your entire consciousness. As you embrace these words, feel the power of absolute knowing flow through you, dissolving all traces of fear and resistance. In this sacred practice, you reclaim your natural state of perfect alignment with universal good. Part 2. Deepening your metaphysical mastery. Chapter 11. The Law of Assumption. In a small corner of a bustling city, where hope seemed as thin as the threads she daily wove, Mildred sat at her worn sewing machine. Her fingers, calloused from years of endless stitching, moved mechanically across fabric destined for others' celebrations. Yet within her heart, a revolutionary truth was taking root. You see, Mildred had discovered the art of assumption, not mere wishful thinking, but the spiritual science of claiming a state before its physical manifestation. Each morning, as she dressed for work, she would carry herself with the quiet dignity of affluence. Her simple breakfast became a feast in her mind's eye. Her modest apartment transformed in her consciousness into a sun-filled manor. When you assume a state with unwavering conviction, you initiate a cosmic reorganization. The unseen realm of infinite possibility begins to crystallize around your assumption, taking the shape of your inner knowing. This is not pretense or self-deception, it is the conscious wielding of universal law. Your current circumstances may appear fixed and unyielding, yet they are merely shadows cast by previous assumptions. As you shift your inner knowledge, reality must realign to match your new spiritual position. This is the hidden mechanism behind every transformation recorded in human history. One evening, as Mildred prepared to close her tiny shop, A peculiar warmth filled her being. Without external evidence or logical reason, she knew, truly knew, that abundance was not a distant dream, but her present reality. She began speaking, moving, breathing as though wealth were already hers. Her assumption was so complete that poverty became the illusion, prosperity the only truth she could accept. Within weeks, her small alterations business transformed. Wealthy clients appeared as if drawn by an invisible magnet. Opportunities for expansion manifested effortlessly. Her revenues multiplied, yet Mildred remained unsurprised. She had already lived this reality in the realm of assumption, where all things first take shape. The power you hold through assumption transcends all apparent barriers. When you occupy a state with absolute conviction, the entire universe conspires to reflect your inner knowing. Your assumption becomes a lens through which universal forces focus, bringing into sharp relief that which you have claimed as truth. Just as Mildred's steadfast assumption reshaped her visible world, your assumptions are silently molding your tomorrow. The state you occupy in consciousness must, by cosmic law, find expression in your outer experience. Practice. Spend 3 minutes visualizing yourself already living your desired life. Feel it fully now. Let every detail of your vision unfold naturally in your mind's eye. See the surroundings that reflect your achievement. Hear the sounds that accompany your success, and most importantly, immerse yourself in the feelings of having already attained your deepest desires. This is not mere daydreaming, but a sacred act of aligning your consciousness with the reality you wish to manifest. As you practice this divine visualization, know that you are engaging with the very forces that shape your destiny. Chapter 12. The Magnetic Field of Emotion. In the dimly lit corners of a forgotten jazz club, Arthur sat at his piano, his fingers dancing across the keys with technical perfection. Night after night, he played to empty seats, his masterful compositions echoing through vacant spaces. Though his skill was undeniable, something essential was missing: the magnetic force that draws souls together through music. You now stand at the threshold of understanding a truth so vital, it has shaped the destiny of countless lives through the ages. Your emotions are not mere responses to life. They are the very substance from which your reality is woven. Like Arthur at his piano, you may possess every outer qualification for success, yet find yourself wondering why abundance remains elusive. The universe responds not to your actions, but to the emotional frequency you maintain. This is the hidden mechanism behind every manifestation, the secret pulse that draws or repels your desires. When you master your emotional state, you master the invisible threads of creation itself. As Arthur sat in meditation before one particularly quiet evening, he discovered this timeless truth. Instead of playing for mere technical expertise, he allowed joy to flood his being. He felt the thrill of sharing his gift, the pure delight of connection through music. His fingers now moved not just with skill, but with emotional electricity that charged the very air. That night, as if guided by an unseen hand, people began flowing into the club. They felt drawn to something they couldn't explain, the magnetic resonance of authentic joy. Arthur's music hadn't changed, but his emotional broadcast had transformed completely. Your emotional state is your point of attraction in the universe. Like a radio tower broadcasting a signal, you continuously emit a frequency that determines what you draw into your experience. When you consciously cultivate elevated emotions, joy, appreciation, love, abundance, you activate a magnetic force that pulls corresponding circumstances into your reality. In the following weeks, Arthur's emotional mastery transformed his entire career, Record executives who had previously ignored him now felt inexplicably compelled to attend his performances. His music, infused with genuine emotional power, began touching hearts and opening doors that skill alone could never access. You hold this same power within you. Your emotions are not passive reactions, but active creators of your experience. By consciously choosing and maintaining elevated emotional states, you engage the universe's own creative force. This is not about suppressing authentic feelings, but about understanding the creative power of your emotional field and wielding it with sacred intention. Practice. Choose one dominant emotion you wish to radiate today and embody it intentionally. Perhaps it is boundless joy, serene peace, or unwavering confidence. Throughout your day, pause periodically to check that you are maintaining this chosen vibration. When you notice yourself drifting into lower states, gently guide yourself back to your sacred intention. Remember, you are not pretending, but rather activating a genuine frequency that already exists within your divine nature. Let this emotion flow through you like a purifying river, cleansing your energy field and broadcasting your chosen state to the universe. Chapter 13. Living Beyond Time. In a quaint village schoolhouse where time seemed to move like molasses through century-old windows, Florence discovered an ancient timepiece mounted on the wall. Unlike ordinary clocks that marked the relentless march of minutes, this one stood mysteriously still, its hands frozen at precisely 12 o'clock. You, like Florence, have been taught to measure life in linear segments, past regrets, present struggles, future hopes. Yet within the depths of universal wisdom lies a truth that shatters this illusion. Time itself is but a construct of the mind, and all that you desire already exists in the eternal now. The hands of Florence's clock refused to move, yet she noticed something extraordinary. When she ceased waiting for time to change her circumstances, when she released her grip on tomorrow's promises, she found herself transported into a state of timeless being. In this space of pure presence, she experienced a profound shift. Her desires were not waiting in some distant future, but existed as living possibilities in the eternal moment. The universe knows nothing of time as you perceive it. In the infinite field of creation, all possibilities exist simultaneously. Your role is not to wait for your good to arrive, but to align with its presence now. This alignment occurs when you step out of time-bound thinking and into the power of the present moment. As Florence embraced this wisdom, she stopped marking her days by the ticking of clocks. Instead of yearning for future fulfillment, she began experiencing the fullness of life in each breath. Her students noticed the change. She taught not as one waiting for retirement, but as one who had discovered the secret spring of eternal vitality. One morning, as sunlight streamed through the classroom windows, Florence sat at her desk, fully immersed in the now. She felt no separation between herself and her deepest aspirations. In that moment of complete presence, reality began shifting around her. A letter arrived announcing an unexpected inheritance. Former students returned bearing gifts of gratitude, and opportunities for sharing her wisdom multiplied effortlessly. This transformation occurred not because Florence had learned to manipulate time, but because she had transcended it entirely. When you release your attachment to when and how your desires will manifest, you enter the timeless dimension where all possibilities already exist. Here, in the eternal now, manifestation occurs not through waiting, but through being. Throughout the day, pause frequently and affirm with quiet certainty, "All that I seek is already present within this moment." Let these words sink deeply into your consciousness, feeling their truth resonate in your being. Repeat this sacred affirmation, especially when you notice yourself becoming anxious about the future or dwelling on the past. As you embrace this practice, you will discover that the eternal now holds infinite possibilities, waiting to unfold through your awareness. Make this your constant companion, a gentle reminder that manifestation flows naturally when you align with the timeless dimension of pure presence. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14, Spiritual Surrender and Supreme Control. In the darkest hours before dawn, Franklin stood at the helm of his fishing vessel as storm clouds gathered like armies across the horizon. The sea, once his faithful companion through decades of voyages, now rose up in terrifying swells that threatened to swallow his small craft whole. As lightning split the sky, Franklin realized a truth that would forever alter his understanding of power. You too stand at the helm of your life, gripping tightly to the illusion of control. Yet the universe operates through a paradox that few have grasped. True power emerges not through domination, but through divine alignment. When you release your desperate hold on outcomes, you tap into currents far greater than your limited perception can comprehend. As Franklin's boat pitched violently in the tempest, he remembered ancient wisdom passed down through generations of seafarers. Instead of fighting against the mighty waves, he surrendered to their rhythm. Rather than attempting to chart his own course through the chaos, he allowed the greater intelligence of the ocean to guide his vessel. In that moment of release, something extraordinary occurred. The storm seemed to cradle rather than crush his boat. The universe operates through perfect order even when chaos appears to reign. When you align your personal will with this divine intelligence, you discover that surrender is not weakness. It is the gateway to unlimited power. Like water flowing around obstacles rather than crashing against them, spiritual surrender allows you to move in harmony with the natural forces of creation. In the hours that followed, Franklin witnessed the miracle of aligned surrender. As dawn broke through the dissipating clouds, he found his boat had been guided not just to safety, but to waters teeming with fish, the most abundant catch of his life. By releasing his grip on forced outcomes, he had allowed the universe to deliver him to prosperity beyond his limited plans. This principle operates in every aspect of your existence. When you cease struggling against what is, when you release your attachment to how things should be, you open yourself to the infinite intelligence that orchestrates galaxies. This is not passive resignation, but active alignment with the power that creates worlds. Through Franklin's experience, you glimpse the paradox of spiritual surrender. In releasing control, you gain mastery. In abandoning forced action, you access effortless achievement. In letting go of your limited vision, you inherit the universe's grand design. Practice. Each morning, before your thoughts become entangled in worldly concerns, find a quiet moment and whisper these sacred words: I surrender to the highest wisdom within me. Let this simple yet profound declaration become your daily ritual, a gentle reminder that you are forever guided by the infinite intelligence that flows through all creation. As you speak these words, feel yourself releasing the burden of control, opening your heart to the divine orchestration that awaits your trust. In this sacred act of surrender, you align yourself with the eternal dance of the cosmos, allowing your highest purpose to unfold naturally and effortlessly. Chapter 15, The Law of Correspondence. In a small cottage among rolling hills, Dorothy sat before her easel, paintbrush poised in hand. Her solitude had long been her closest companion. yet within her burned a vision of vibrant life and connection. As she began to paint, something stirred in the depths of her spirit. Each stroke of color seemed to pulse with an energy beyond mere pigment. You possess this same creative force within you, for the universe operates through an immutable law. Your outer world must reflect your inner reality. Just as a seed contains the complete pattern of the flower it will become, your consciousness holds the template of your manifesting life. Dorothy painted scenes of abundant gardens, sun-drenched meadows, and paths lined with friendly neighbors. She poured her longing for connection into each canvas, unaware that she was engaging in the highest form of spiritual alchemy. Within weeks, her actual garden began sprouting flowers that matched her paintings. Neighbors she had never known stopped to admire the blooms, and soon her once quiet cottage became a gathering place for kindred spirits. The universe responds not to your wishes, but to the living garden you tend within your consciousness. Every thought, feeling, and belief you nurture takes root in the soil of your inner world before manifesting in the physical realm. This is not metaphor, but metaphysics, the science of cause and effect operating from invisible to visible. A transformation occurred in Dorothy's life that seemed miraculous to others, but followed the perfect law of correspondence. As she filled her inner world with beauty, harmony, and joy through her art, these qualities materialized in her external experience. Her paintings became prophecies, for she had discovered that consciousness is the brush that paints reality. You hold this same creative power. Your circumstances, relationships, and experiences are not random occurrences, but faithful reflections of your inner state. To change your outer world, you must first tend to the garden within. Plant seeds of abundance in your thoughts, water them with positive emotion, and pull the weeds of doubt before they can take root. Sacred practice. As you lay your head upon your pillow tonight, close your eyes and envision your inner world as a vast garden. See it in perfect detail. Feel the warmth of spiritual sunlight. Smell the sweet fragrance of possibility. Hear the gentle rustle of growing things. This is not mere visualization, but conscious participation in the creative process of the universe. For in this garden of consciousness, you plant the seeds of tomorrow's manifestation. Let your mind wander through the paths of this sacred space, touching each flower of intention with loving awareness. Notice how some dreams have already sprouted, reaching toward the light of manifestation, while others wait as seeds beneath the soil of possibility. This nightly communion with your inner garden is a ritual of creation itself, for what you nurture in the soil of your consciousness must, by universal law, bloom in the garden of your physical reality. Chapter 16, Quantum Leaps. In a dimly lit workshop cluttered with half-finished inventions, Harold slumped over his workbench. For 20 years, he had pushed and struggled, believing that success required endless toil. His latest creation, a revolutionary energy device, sat before him, stubbornly refusing to function despite countless adjustments. You now stand at the threshold of understanding a truth so powerful it defies conventional wisdom. Reality can shift in an instant. The universe does not require gradual progress or step-by-step evolution. Like quantum particles that leap from one state to another without traversing the space between, consciousness can catapult you into entirely new circumstances. That evening, Harold experienced an inexplicable inner shift. Rather than forcing his invention to work, he closed his eyes and allowed himself to feel what success would be like. In that moment, he vibrationally relocated himself into a reality where his creation was already complete and celebrated. He stopped being the struggling inventor and simply became the successful one. The next morning, as he approached his workbench with this new frequency, his hands moved with unexpected certainty. The solution appeared with such clarity that he wondered how he had missed it before. Within hours, his device hummed to life, functioning with a perfection that seemed to defy his previous 20 years of struggle. You see, the path to manifestation need not be gradual. When you shift your vibrational state completely, not merely hoping or wishing, but knowing and being, the universe must rearrange itself to match your new frequency. This is not magic, but law. 1 week later, Harold sat in an executive office watching investors compete for the rights to his invention. His reality had transformed so completely that his past struggles felt like a distant dream. He had discovered what you must now understand. Consciousness does not require time to shift circumstances. It requires only complete alignment with a new state of being. The distance between your current reality and your desired one exists only in thought. Through the quantum nature of consciousness, you can leap across that perceived gap in an instant. This is not about waiting for change or working toward it. It is about claiming your chosen reality now, in this moment, through the absolute power of your focused consciousness. Sacred practice. Stand tall, feet planted firmly on the ground, and speak with unwavering authority. Today, I leap into my new reality without hesitation. Feel the truth of these words in every cell of your being. This is not an affirmation, it is a declaration of your immediate transition into a new timeline of experience. Chapter 17, Removing the Veil of Illusion. In a secluded monastery library, Agnes discovered a collection of weathered scrolls hidden behind loose stones in the wall. As she unrolled the ancient parchments, her hands trembling with anticipation, wisdom from centuries past spilled forth, teachings that would shatter her perception of reality forever. You now approach a revelation that will transform how you perceive the world around you. What appears as solid circumstance is merely crystallized consciousness, a shadow cast by past thoughts and beliefs. The material world in all its seeming permanence is but a reflection, a mirror showing you where your consciousness has dwelt. The scrolls revealed to Agnes that limitation exists only in the mind that accepts it. Poverty, illness, and strife are not facts to be endured, but misperceptions to be corrected. Like a mirage in the desert, these conditions hold no substance beyond the power granted them by belief. Through careful study of these sacred texts, Agnes began to see through the illusion. Where once stood walls of limitation, she now perceived infinite possibility. Her tiny quarters no longer felt confining, but expanded into a temple of unlimited potential. Her modest means transformed into evidence of abundance waiting to be recognized. One morning, while contemplating these truths in the garden, Agnes noticed how the morning dew created perfect spheres on spider webs, each droplet containing a complete reflection of the world around it. In that moment she understood. Just as each dewdrop reflected the whole sky, every circumstance merely reflected consciousness. Change the consciousness, and the reflection must change. Agnes ceased struggling against outer conditions and instead focused on seeing through them to the spiritual reality beneath. Within weeks, opportunities she could never have imagined began flowing into her life. A publisher discovered her translations of ancient texts, leading to widespread recognition of her work. Her financial struggles dissolved as naturally as morning mist in sunlight. You must understand, what appears as a fixed circumstance holds no more substance than a shadow. The material world is fluid, responsive to the light of true perception. When you cease accepting limitation as reality, when you look past the appearance to the infinite potential beneath, circumstances must reshape themselves to match your enlightened vision. Sacred practice. Whenever an obstacle appears, affirm inwardly, This is only a shadow. The truth is freedom and abundance. Let these words dissolve the seeming solidity of limitation, revealing the boundless reality that has always existed beneath the surface of appearance. Hold this truth in your heart until you feel its resonance transforming your perception. Just as darkness cannot exist in the presence of light, no limitation can persist when illuminated by your conscious recognition of infinite possibility. Make this affirmation your constant companion, speaking it with quiet certainty until every perceived barrier melts away like morning frost beneath the rising sun. Chapter 18. Harnessing the Energy of Symbols. In the shadows of an ancient temple, Samuel traced his fingers along worn stone walls until they found an unusual marking. The sigil, etched deep into the rock, seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy that called to something deep within his soul. As he studied its intricate patterns, time seemed to still, and the chaos of his wartime surroundings faded into silence. You now approach a truth known to the mystery schools of antiquity. Symbols are gateways to power, condensing universal forces into forms that the human mind can grasp and direct. Like a lens focusing scattered light into a concentrated beam, sacred symbols gather the diffuse energies of consciousness into precise instruments of manifestation. Through daily meditation upon this ancient marking, Samuel discovered that symbols bypass the rational mind to speak directly to the deeper self. The sigil became a bridge between his conscious desires and the vast creative forces of the universe. Each contemplation strengthened this connection until the symbol's energy began flowing through every aspect of his life. Within sacred geometry, mystic signs, and personal totems lies a language older than words, a code that the universe instantly recognizes and responds to. These symbols act as keys, unlocking doors between the visible and invisible realms, allowing you to impress your intentions more deeply into the substance of creation. One moonlit night, as Samuel sat in meditation with the sigil before him, he experienced a profound shift in consciousness. The symbol seemed to come alive, revealing layers of meaning that transformed his understanding of reality. From that moment forward, his military duties became effortless, his decisions clearer, his path protected as if by an unseen hand. The power of focused symbolism had awakened something within him that mere words could never reach. His fellow soldiers noticed the change, a new authority in his bearing, a certainty in his actions that drew success like a magnet draws iron. Without speaking of the source, Samuel had tapped into an ancient current of power that flowed through all great achievements in history. You too can access this timeless wisdom. The universe speaks in symbols, and when you learn to use them consciously, you align yourself with forces that have guided humanity's greatest accomplishments. Every symbol you choose becomes a vessel for your intentions, a sacred tool for shaping reality itself. Sacred practice. Create or choose a personal symbol for your greatest desire and meditate upon it daily. Let this symbol become a focal point for your creative energy, a bridge between your conscious intention and the infinite power of the universe. Chapter 19. The Divine Rhythm of Receiving. In the grand halls of a once prosperous estate, Lillian stood before empty rooms that had previously echoed with music and laughter. Her family's fortune had dwindled, leaving her with nothing but memories of abundance. Yet in this moment of apparent loss, she discovered a truth that would transform her understanding of life's flow. You must understand that the universe operates through an eternal principle of giving and receiving. Like the rhythm of breath, this sacred exchange cannot exist in isolation. For every outflow, there must be an inflow. Many souls block their blessings not through lack of worth, but through an unconscious resistance to receiving. Through her desperate prayers, Lillian encountered an aged mystic who shared the forgotten wisdom. Receiving is not passive, but a divine art requiring an open, grateful heart. The mystic taught her that to close oneself to receiving is to interrupt the cosmic dance of abundance. When you resist receiving, whether through unworthiness, pride, or fear, you create a barrier that blocks the natural flow of universal good. This resistance manifests as struggle, lack, and limitation. Yet when you open yourself to receive, you align with the universe's perpetual desire to bless. As Lillian mastered this sacred art, her life transformed. One morning, a distant relative offered her residence in a cottage by the sea. Rather than deflect this kindness with false humility, she accepted with grace and gratitude. This simple act of receiving set in motion a cascade of unexpected gifts, opportunities, connections, and resources flowed effortlessly into her experience. You see, Lillian had discovered that receiving is not taking, but rather participating in the universe's endless cycle of giving. Each gift received with gratitude creates space for greater blessings to flow. Her acceptance became a magnetic force, drawing more abundance into every area of her life. This ancient truth stands before you now. The universe seeks expression through giving, but requires a willing receiver. Your ability to receive with grace and gratitude determines the measure of your experience. Let your heart remain open, for in doing so, you become a channel through which infinite good can flow. Sacred practice. Each evening before you rest, take a sacred moment to write down 3 gifts you received throughout your day, whether grand or modest in nature. Let your heart overflow with deep gratitude as you record these blessings. They may be as simple as a warm smile from a stranger, as profound as an unexpected opportunity, or as subtle as a moment of perfect peace. Chapter 20. Overcoming the Gravity of the Old Self. In the dimming light of an old gymnasium, Earl Maxwell stood before a cracked mirror, his weathered face telling the story of countless battles won and lost. For 30 years he had been the Thunder from Down Under, a heavyweight whose name once made champions tremble. But now, at 55, he faced an opponent no training could defeat, the weight of who he once was. You must understand that identity is not a fixed star, but a garment to be shed when its season has passed. The universe knows nothing of your past. It responds only to the energy you emanate in this eternal moment. When you cling to an expired version of yourself, you create resistance to the expanded life awaiting you. Through the mists of time, Earl heard the roar of crowds long dispersed and felt the phantom sting of victories long faded. Each morning, he would wrap his hands in tape, shadow box with memories, and wonder why life felt increasingly hollow. Until one dawn, standing in that same gym, he realized the truth. His suffering came not from aging, but from anchoring himself to a ghost. In the realm of consciousness, there is no greater obstacle than an identity outgrown. Like a snake that cannot grow while gripping its old skin, you cannot expand while clutching who you once were. The universe conspires to elevate you, but first you must release your grip on the familiar self. Later that week, Earl returned to the gym not as a boxer seeking redemption, but as a mentor to troubled youth. As he removed his championship belts from the wall, something extraordinary occurred. His shoulders straightened, his eyes brightened, and vitality surged through his being. In releasing his identity as the Thunder, he became something greater, a guide, a wisdom keeper, a transformer of young lives. You see, the moment Earl stopped fighting to preserve his past self, a new destiny rushed in to meet him. His story teaches that true power lies not in maintaining what was, but in boldly stepping into what could be. Your current identity, no matter how comfortable or acclaimed, may be the very chains holding you from your next evolution. Sacred practice. Take a pristine sheet of paper and write down the identity you have outgrown. Be specific. Name the roles, beliefs, and self-images that no longer serve your highest expression. Let your pen flow freely, recording every aspect of the old self that weighs upon your spirit. The titles you've clung to, the masks you've worn, the limitations you've accepted as truth. Then, in a sacred moment of conscious release, burn or tear this paper while declaring inwardly, I now release all that I am not, embracing all that I am becoming. Part 3. Becoming the Supreme Architect. Chapter 21. Commanding the Invisible Forces. In the quiet hours before dawn, Walter Matthews stood at his familiar post in the conductor's cabin, his weathered hands resting on controls he had operated for 3 decades. The rhythmic clatter of steel wheels had long been the backdrop of his existence, yet on this particular morning, as golden light crept across the horizon, he witnessed something that would forever alter his understanding of life's hidden mechanics. You see, Walter had always noticed that certain routes seemed charmed, trains arriving precisely on schedule despite impossible odds, while others faced perpetual delays. What he discovered, in a moment of pristine clarity, was that his own expectations had been the invisible conductor all along. The universe operates through precise spiritual laws, as exact as the engineering principles governing Walter's beloved trains. Your thoughts, when focused with unwavering clarity, become commands to which the invisible must respond. This is not wishful thinking, but the operation of an exact science, one that has orchestrated circumstances since time immemorial. On routes where Walter anticipated smooth journeys, obstacles mysteriously cleared themselves. When he expected delays, complications manifested with uncanny consistency. This revelation struck him with the force of lightning. He had been unconsciously commanding reality all along. The second morning after this awakening, Walter approached his duties differently. Instead of passive observation, he began consciously directing the day's events. Standing tall in his cabin, he declared with quiet authority that this journey would unfold in perfect harmony. What transpired next defied conventional explanation. A typically troubled route transformed into the smoothest passage of his career. You possess this same power of conscious command. When you speak to the universe with the certainty of one who knows their authority, invisible forces align to execute your directive. This is not arrogance, but the claiming of your divine birthright as a co-creator with the infinite. Through Walter's story, you glimpse the profound truth that your expectations are not merely hopes cast into the void. They are commands issued to a responsive universe. Every thought, every feeling, every imagined scenario is a directive being transmitted into the cosmic machinery of manifestation. Sacred practice. Take a clean sheet of paper and write a single command for your deepest desire. Phrase it not as a wish or request, but as a clear directive that must be obeyed. Stand facing the east, where the sun rises to herald each new beginning, and with the authority of your divine heritage, read this command aloud 3 times today. Let your voice carry the certainty of one who knows they are speaking into an infinite intelligence that cannot help but respond. Feel the power of your words resonating through the cosmic fabric of creation, knowing that just as surely as night follows day, your command sets in motion the invisible machinery of manifestation. This is not mere ritual, but the activation of your sovereign right to shape reality through conscious decree. Chapter 22, The Sacred Geometry of Manifestation. In the ancient city of stone and shadow, Esther sat at her workbench, measuring and cutting fabric with practiced precision. For years she had crafted garments that adorned others' dreams while her own remained carefully folded away. Until one evening, as golden light filtered through her workshop window, she noticed how the shadows cast by the great cathedral across the street formed perfect geometric patterns on her floor. You must understand that within these sacred patterns lies a universal truth. All creation follows divine architecture. Just as cathedrals rise from precise mathematical harmonies, your desires manifest through exact spiritual geometries. The patterns Esther observed revealed that manifestation requires three perfectly aligned elements: thought as the foundation, emotion as the supporting pillars, and action as the keystone that locks all into place. When these three align with mathematical precision, reality has no choice but to respond. The invisible world operates through sacred ratios and divine proportions. Your thoughts are not random whispers into the void. They are the careful measurements from which your reality is constructed. Your emotions are not mere reactions, but the mortar that binds intention to manifestation. Your actions are not separate from your dreams, but the final stone that completes the arch of creation. In the weeks that followed her discovery, Esther began applying these principles with the same care she used in tailoring. She laid out her desires like architectural plans, ensuring each thought was measured twice before being cut into the fabric of reality. She stitched her emotions into every intention with a golden thread of gratitude. She positioned her actions with the precision of a master mason, setting the cornerstone of a cathedral. Then one morning, as she opened her shop, a noble lady entered seeking not just new garments, but a partner to create an entire line of royal attire. Esther's careful spiritual architecture had manifested with the same precision as the geometric patterns that first awakened her understanding. Through Esther's revelation, you glimpse that manifestation is not chaotic or random. It follows divine blueprints as ancient as creation itself. When you align your spiritual geometry with the same care as a cathedral builder, your desires take form with inevitable precision. Sacred practice. Take a blank page and draw a simple triangle, one of the most ancient and sacred geometric forms. At the apex, write your core desire, letting your hand move with deliberate purpose as though carving this intention into stone. At the two base points, inscribe one emotional state and one physical action that will strengthen your alignment with this desire. Consider the emotional point as the foundation of feeling that will fuel your manifestation. Perhaps joy, gratitude, or unwavering faith. The action point should represent a tangible step you can take today toward your goal, no matter how modest it may seem. Draw a line connecting all 3 points with steady intention, creating a sacred circuit of manifestation. As you complete this geometric prayer, feel the energy flowing between your desire, emotion, and action, forming an unbreakable trinity of purpose. Keep this symbol visible throughout your day, perhaps on your desk or altar, as a reminder of the divine architecture you are building with each thought, feeling, and deed. Chapter 23. Instant Manifestation. In the shadow of towering clockworks, Lewis polished brass gears that marked time's steady march. For years, he had watched others climb the ranks while he remained fixed in place, like the hands of a broken timepiece, yet in his heart stirred an ancient knowing that time was not the rigid master it appeared to be. You see, the mechanical measurement of time is but an illusion, a a, 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 The universe operates beyond these artificial constraints, responding not to hours and days, but to the magnetic force of aligned consciousness. When you understand this truth, you grasp that success need not follow a prescribed timeline. It arrives precisely when consciousness aligns with desire, regardless of what your calendar suggests. This is the hidden wisdom that Lewis uncovered beneath the ticking of countless clocks. One evening, as shadows lengthened across his workbench, Lewis ceased measuring his progress against time's artificial markers. Instead, he stepped into the eternal now, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. In this timeless space, he claimed his mastery not as a future event, but as a present reality. The next morning, a wealthy merchant brought an intricate timepiece that had confounded every master craftsman in the city. Lewis, operating from his new state of consciousness, saw through the complexity with extraordinary clarity. His hands moved with the certainty of decades of experience, though he had never attempted such a repair before. Within hours, what others had failed to accomplish in months was complete. The merchant, astonished by Lewis's skill, commissioned him to create an entire series of custom timepieces. In that single moment of alignment, Lewis had collapsed time itself, stepping directly into mastery that should have taken years to achieve. You must grasp this vital truth. Time bends to consciousness. When you release your allegiance to linear progression, you free yourself to manifest at the speed of thought. Your desired reality exists now, in a dimension where time holds no authority over achievement. Think of consciousness as a lens through which time flows. When you adjust this lens through absolute certainty, time compresses or expands according to your inner alignment. This is not magic. It is the natural operation of universal law when freed from artificial constraints. Sacred practice. Stand before a clock or watch, letting its steady mechanical rhythm remind you of humanity's artificial constraints upon time itself. As you observe its movement, the ticking hands that seem to govern all progress, affirm 10 times with unwavering conviction. My success bypasses all limits of time and logic. Feel how each declaration dissolves the illusion of time-bound achievement, allowing your desires to manifest at the speed of aligned consciousness. Let each repetition sink deeper into your being, eroding the false boundaries between where you stand and where you wish to be. Chapter 24: The Temple Within. In a small village among ancient hills, Irene sat at her weathered loom, her fingers moving with practiced grace across threads that seemed to shimmer with inner light. Though her purse held but a few copper coins, her eyes sparkled with the knowledge of untold riches. You see, most seek wealth in the outer world, in markets and trades, in the exchange of goods and currency. Yet true abundance flows not from external sources, but from the infinite wellspring within. This truth revealed itself to Irene on a moonlit evening when, gazing into her empty cupboard, she touched a deeper reality. The universe holds no limitation, no scarcity, no lack. These are but shadows cast by minds that have forgotten their connection to the eternal source. Within you flows an endless river of abundance, waiting only for recognition. As you awaken to this truth, you understand that supply never truly comes through external channels. These are merely the paths it takes in its journey from your inner being into visible form. Your work, your investments, your opportunities, all are expressions of the infinite source within you. Irene discovered this when she ceased focusing on the meager payment for her weavings and instead began drawing from the boundless creativity flowing through her soul. Her designs took on an otherworldly beauty, each thread seeming to carry light from some divine treasury. Soon merchants from distant cities sought her work, offering gold for what she had created in communion with the infinite. Yet Irene smiled. knowing that the true wealth was not in their coins, but in the endless river flowing from her center. You must understand this principle operates with mathematical precision. When you shift your attention from other sources to the infinite supply within, the universe must respond in kind. It is law, as certain as gravity, as reliable as the dawn. The outer world of form will always arrange itself to match your inner awareness of abundance. Those who struggle financially do so, not from lack of opportunity, but from disconnection from their internal source. Sacred practice. Close your eyes and visualize an infinite fountain within you, its crystal waters flowing eternally from the depths of your being. Feel how this sacred spring rises from your center, carrying with it all possibilities, all abundance, all that you could ever need or desire. Then, with quiet certainty, affirm these words of power. My supply is endless and flows now. Let this profound truth settle deep into your being, penetrating every cell, every thought, until you feel the very substance of abundance coursing through your awareness. Know that this fountain of infinite supply has always been within you, waiting only for your recognition to release its boundless gifts into your life. Chapter 25, The Ascended Self. In the halls of St. Mary's Hospital, Clarence Matthews carried his credentials like armor, shielding himself from life's mysteries with rational explanations and medical textbooks. Each morning he would dismiss his patients' talk of miraculous recoveries and inexplicable healings until the night that changed everything. You see, within each soul lies a truth so magnificent that the rational mind often recoils from its grandeur. You are not merely flesh and bone, not simply a collection of cells and synapses. You are the divine in expression, the infinite taking form. Clarence discovered this truth during a dream so vivid it shattered his carefully constructed worldview. In this vision, he witnessed himself as pure light, boundless and eternal, flowing through countless forms while remaining forever whole. Upon waking, he could no longer deny the divinity pulsing through his veins. The greatest illusion is not that you must become divine. It is that you were ever separate from divinity. Your very breath is the universe breathing. Your heartbeat is the rhythm of creation itself. When you truly grasp this, all limitations fall away like autumn leaves in a swift wind. In the months that followed his awakening, Clarence's entire practice transformed. No longer did he see patients as broken machines to be fixed, but as divine beings temporarily forgetting their true nature. His presence alone began healing those around him, not through any technique or treatment, but through his unwavering recognition of their innate divinity. One morning, while making his rounds, Clarence encountered a terminal patient who had defied all medical prognosis. The woman spoke of how his changed demeanor had awakened something within her, a remembrance of her own divine nature. Her recovery was not a miracle to Clarence. It was simply the natural expression of recognized divinity. You must understand, this power flows through you at every moment. It is not something to achieve or earn. It is what you are. When you cease struggling to become and simply recognize your true nature, the universe moves through you with unstoppable force. Your divine essence is not a distant ideal, but your most intimate reality. It speaks in every cell of your body, shines through every thought, and moves through every action. To deny this is to deny the very force that gives you life. Sacred practice. Stand before a mirror in a quiet, sacred space. Look deep into your own eyes, those windows to your eternal soul, and declare with unwavering conviction, I am divine manifested. Chapter 26, Wielding Invisible Authority. In a grand manor house among rolling hills, Eleanor tended to her duties with a presence that seemed to command the very air around her. Though her position was that of a governess, she carried herself with the quiet dignity of one who understood deeper truths. You must grasp this essential wisdom. True power never needs to announce itself. Like the force that turns seeds into mighty oaks, the greatest authority moves in silence. Through years of inner work, Eleanor had discovered that reality itself bows to those who maintain unwavering inner certainty. The universe responds not to volume but to vibration. When you align your inner state with absolute knowing, circumstances rearrange themselves without struggle or strain. This is the ancient art of spiritual authority, the ability to move mountains through the silent power of your consciousness alone. Eleanor would simply hold an outcome in her mind with unshakable faith, knowing it was already accomplished in the unseen realm. Whether dealing with unruly children or managing household crises, she never raised her voice or forced her will. Instead, she maintained an inner posture of serene command that nature itself seemed to respect. One autumn morning, when storm clouds threatened to ruin an important garden party, Eleanor merely smiled and continued with preparations, knowing in her heart that the weather would align with her purpose. As guests arrived, the clouds parted inexplicably, creating a perfect afternoon that left meteorologists baffled. This was not coincidence. It was the natural response of the universe to one who had mastered inner authority. You see, creation itself eagerly awaits your conscious command. But this command must come from a place of unshakable knowing, not from doubt or desperation. Through Eleanor's quiet mastery, even the most challenging situations resolved themselves with elegant ease. Children calmed in her presence, conflicts dissolved before her tranquil gaze, and order emerged from chaos, not through external force but through her unwavering inner certainty. You possess this same authority. It is your divine birthright. When you stand in silent knowing, the entire universe conspires to fulfill your intentions. This is not about controlling others or forcing outcomes. It is about aligning with the infinite power that already moves through you. Sacred practice. Before an important moment, silently affirm, all forces work for me now, seen and unseen. Chapter 27. Sacred Will. In the heart of a village forgotten by time, there lived a blacksmith named Albert, whose forge had grown cold. Where once the ring of his hammer echoed through the streets, now only silence remained. His hands, once steady and sure, had lost their purpose after a series of crushing defeats. You must understand this eternal truth. Within you burns a force so potent that no earthly circumstance can extinguish it. This force, your sacred will, lies dormant until awakened by conscious choice. When Albert finally returned to his anvil, he discovered something profound. True will is not mere determination or stubborn persistence. It is a divine current that flows through you when you align with higher purpose. As he stood before his cold forge, Albert didn't simply restart his work. He ignited his spirit. Each strike of his hammer became a declaration of his unbreakable nature. He learned to blend fierce intention with perfect surrender, understanding that while his will provided the direction, the universe supplied the power. This is the sacred marriage of human resolve and divine grace. One morning, as Albert faced his greatest commission yet, he didn't rely on skill alone. He became a living channel of unstoppable creative force. His hands moved with such certainty that the metal seemed to shape itself, responding to something far greater than physical strength. What emerged was not merely a masterwork. It was a testament to the fusion of human will and divine power. You possess this same unbreakable force. When you align your will with universal law, you become unstoppable, not through brute force or desperate striving, but through the perfect balance of fierce intention and spiritual surrender. Albert's transformation teaches you that sacred will is not about domination, it is about channeling the infinite through focused intention. His triumph came not from fighting against life, but from becoming one with the creative current that flows through all things. Sacred practice. Write a short, sacred will pledge to yourself today, a declaration of your commitment to aligning your intentions with universal law. Let these words flow from your deepest truth, expressing both your fierce determination and your surrender to divine timing. Read this pledge aloud each morning for 7 days, allowing its power to resonate through your being. This simple yet profound practice will help anchor your will to the infinite force that shapes all creation. Chapter 28. The Metaphysical Warrior. In a quiet corner of an ancient library where dust motes danced in shafts of morning light, worked a librarian named Hazel. For years she had arranged other people's stories, while her own remained unwritten, waiting for permission that would never come. You must grasp this vital truth. Destiny does not arrive through patience. It manifests through spiritual audacity. The universe responds not to those who wait, but to those who command. When Hazel discovered this principle, she underwent a profound metamorphosis. No longer did she defer to circumstances or seek approval from the world. She realized that spiritual power, when wielded with unwavering certainty, needs no external validation. Each morning she began moving through the library, not as a keeper of others' tales, but as the author of her own destiny. The force of will that shapes reality is not loud or aggressive. It is serene, yet absolute. It does not fight against what is, but rather commands what shall be. This is the way of the spiritual warrior, calm in presence, unstoppable in essence. One day, as Hazel stood amidst her beloved books, she felt this truth surge through her being. Without announcement or apology, she began reorganizing the entire library according to her vision, a task others had deemed impossible. Her actions flowed not from rebellion, but from pure, aligned certainty. The resistance she had expected never materialized. Instead, reality seemed to reshape itself around her resolved intent. This mirrors an eternal principle. When you act from spiritual authority rather than ego, the universe conspires to support your vision. Your will, aligned with higher purpose, becomes an unstoppable force of nature. In witnessing Hazel's transformation, you glimpse your own untapped power. The spiritual warrior within you awaits not permission, but recognition. Every circumstance that appears to block your path is merely asking, will you command or will you request? The library, once a symbol of Hazel's containment, became a testament to her awakened power. Her decisive action sparked a renaissance that extended far beyond its walls, touching countless lives. Yet she had not waited for approval. She had seized her destiny with the quiet force of absolute knowing. Sacred practice. Today, take one bold action toward your dream without asking anyone's permission. Let your inner knowing guide you forward with unwavering certainty. The universe has already granted you the authority to pursue your highest calling. You need only recognize and claim it. Whether your action appears small or large to others matters not. What matters is that you step forth with the quiet confidence of one who understands their divine right to create. In this sacred movement, you align yourself with the eternal force that shapes worlds and destinies. Chapter 29. Living Beyond All Limits. In a modest corner store at the edge of town, Vincent arranged his meager inventory with care each morning. The shelves held little, yet his spirit contained multitudes. Though his circumstances spoke of lack, his consciousness whispered of abundance. You must understand this timeless truth. What appears as limitation in the physical world holds no authority over the awakened mind. Just as a dreamer is not bound by the dreams they witness, you are not contained by the temporary pictures before your eyes. Vincent's revelation came when he ceased believing in the story of scarcity that surrounded him. Where others saw empty shelves, he saw infinite possibility. Where convention declared impossible, he declared, I am possible. This shift was not mere positive thinking. It was a fundamental rejection of false boundaries. The universe knows no limitation. It is ever expanding, ever creating, ever abundant. When you align your mind with this truth, you step into the same limitless stream of creation. Your only constraints are the ones you agree to honor. Witness how Vincent's understanding transformed his reality. One day, while standing in his modest shop, he simply withdrew his consent from all perceived limitations. He stopped seeing his small store as a final destination and recognized it as merely a starting point. Without external changes, his inner shift began attracting unprecedented opportunities. A wealthy merchant, drawn by an inexplicable urge, entered the shop and proposed a partnership. Yet this was not mere chance. It was the natural response of an unlimited universe to an unlimited mind. Vincent's small corner store expanded into a thriving network of establishments, each one testament to the power of aligned consciousness. Your own liberation awaits this same recognition. Every boundary you perceive asks only one question: will you continue to believe in it? The moment you withdraw your agreement from limitation, you enter the natural state of infinite possibility. Practice. Each time you hear a limiting thought today, answer it inwardly. I am beyond all limits. Let this sacred affirmation become your constant companion, a gentle reminder of your infinite nature. Chapter 30. The Final Key. In a sunlit classroom after hours, Rosemary stood before her empty blackboard, chalk in hand. For years she had written lessons for others, while her own dreams remained unwritten. Yet on this ordinary afternoon, an extraordinary wisdom descended upon her like golden light through the windows. You see, the universe operates beyond the constraints of time. What you seek is not waiting to be created. It already exists in the eternal now. Your role is not to make it happen, but to align with its completed reality. Rosemary understood this truth in an instant. Rather than hoping, wishing, or striving for her desires, she simply accepted them as already fulfilled. She saw that her struggle had never been with manifestation, but with accepting what was already done. The eternal law reveals itself. Manifestation is not a process of creation, but of recognition. Everything you seek already exists in the infinite field of possibility. Your acceptance of this truth is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Watch how Rosemary's realization transformed her reality. That evening, instead of planning and plotting her future, she sat in perfect peace, knowing her desires were already fulfilled. Within days, opportunities she had long sought began appearing effortlessly. A published book, speaking engagements, profound connections. These were not new creations, but the natural emergence of what had always existed in potential. Your own desires await this same recognition. They are not distant possibilities to be achieved, but present realities to be accepted. When you truly understand that it is already done, your experience aligns with this truth without effort or struggle. Practice. Each morning affirm it is already done and move through your day with this certainty. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. You stand now at the threshold of mastery, where the veil between worlds has lifted to reveal your true sovereign nature. The journey through these sacred teachings has not merely educated you, it has awakened the divine architect within your soul. Each principle you have encountered is a key, unlocking deeper chambers of your infinite potential. The power you now hold is not new, it is ancient, eternal, and has always been yours. What has changed is your recognition of this birthright. You see now that every circumstance, every condition, every aspect of your life exists as a direct reflection of your conscious command. The universe is not a distant force to be petitioned, but an intimate ally awaiting your direction. You need no longer wish, hope, or plead for your desires to manifest. Instead, you stand unshakable, knowing that your word is law, your consciousness is creative, and your will, aligned with the infinite, is irresistible. From this moment forward, you move through life not as one bound by circumstance, but as one who shapes circumstance. The invisible forces that once seemed beyond your reach now stand ready to serve your enlightened purpose. Every thought you think, every emotion you cultivate, every declaration you make carries the full weight of divine authority. This awakening marks not an ending, but a coronation, your return to conscious co-creation with the universe itself. The mysteries you have uncovered are not mere philosophy, but practical tools of transformation, waiting to be wielded by your awakened understanding. Let every breath from this moment be a decree, every step a declaration of your divine authority. The unseen realms respond not to what you want, but to what you are. And you are now awake to your true identity as a conscious creator, a sovereign force, a living expression of the infinite itself. Your kingdom is consciousness, your throne is understanding, and your crown is the certainty that all power moves through you, not to you. Step forward now, not as one seeking power, but as one remembering their eternal authority. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.